Up with KREM begins now.
Coming up now on 5:30 this morning, there is still no sign of two missing children in Idaho. Their mother missed a deadline yesterday to prove they are alive. Now this morning, we'll explain what happens next.
There's a high wind watch in effect for the Spokane area, not today, but tomorrow, as we're tracking just how strong those winds will be for the weekend.
And if you were thinking about making a bet on Sunday's Super Bowl, you would be breaking the law if you're in the state of Washington, but that could soon be changing.
Oh, I think a lot of people will be interested in that.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a little sports betting information there.
Throw in some money on the Zags.
Yeah.
People would like that.
I need to know if it's going to be in place before March because they're looking good this season. All right, the former Gonzaga men's basketball player is now an NBA All-Star. The league selected Domantas Sabonis for the All-Star game. He is the second Zag in history to make the squad. John Stockton being the other player. I'm sure many of you out there knew that.
Maybe you've heard of him once before.
Yeah, you might have heard of the name. Sabonis will represent the East since he plays for the Indiana Pacers.
How cool is that? I mean, you see names that he's alongside some of the greats that we've watched for years. I mean, amazing opportunity for a guy like that.
And we got to see him grow up right here in Spokane.
Yeah,
play, huh? Pretty cool.
Should be fun. I always love the All-Star game. I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan, being from Milwaukee, so my boy Giannis is kind of leading the charge, especially out east these days.
I like that we've seen this infusion, it seems like, of new talent coming in, and we're kind of watching a change of the old guard in the NBA. And
I also love the international flavor the NBA's been giving recently, too, because it used to be just like America dominated, and now we got guys from Greece and Australia and Croatia, just everywhere. So it's really, really cool these days.
Yeah. And, of course, going from the international flavor of the NBA to the local flavor of all this wind. I mean, what's going on?
I mean, we should be a little bit used to it, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, we haven't really seen a windy day like today or tomorrow so far this month. We've been very focused on the rain and the snow all month long, but now the wind is pretty much being the last key player of what has been a wild January weather-wise for us. But actually, the high wind watch is in effect for tomorrow, which would be the first day of February. So that should be the windiest day so far this year. Wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, perhaps in the Columbia Basin from Moses Lake, Ritzville through the Palouse, and even Spokane, Coeur d'Alene under that high wind watch for tomorrow. But to get you going for this morning, cloudy skies with a little bit of rain moving through the Palouse as well. So light rain in Pullman, Moscow, Colfax at the moment. Looks like a little bit of mist trying to reemerge in the Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene area at the moment. Not seeing any precipitation in Spokane, but the winds are at 11 miles per hour, which actually feels a little bit breezy as you step outside, but will be nothing compared to what we'll feel for tomorrow. And here's the 12-hour forecast. Notice that some showers are back into play right around the late morning to the noon hour overall, but temperatures in the 50s later on today as well. So warm, windy, and wet weather for at least next couple days, and I'll be tracking when those winds will be strongest in just a few moments. But first, we're going to send things out to Nicole Hernandez live in the mobile storm track. No, we're not. We will get to her next half hour. Back to you guys.
They're good kids. They don't deserve this.
Well, it was a no-show for an Idaho mother ordered to prove her children are alive. Yesterday, Lori Vallow did not produce her children in an Idaho court. Investigators say 7-year-old JJ Vallow and 17-year-old Tylee Ryan were last seen in September. A judge gave her until close of business yesterday to comply with a court order. They ordered her to bring her children to the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare or the Rexburg Police Department. And the judge will now decide what happens next. Now, this story goes back to October 29th. That is when Rexburg police received a call saying a woman had died in her sleep. They identified the woman as 49-year-old Tammy Daybell. Just days after her death, her husband Chad married Lori Vallow. 1 month later, relatives reported the children missing to police. And that is when the Fremont County Sheriff's Office determined the children had actually not been seen in months.
They went to the home, asked to see the kids. They weren't there. We were told that JJ was in Arizona with family. That was checked and followed up on. That was false. And they have not been seen since.
The children's grandparents then put out a desperate plea to the community. The couple offered a $24,000 reward for any information leading to their safe return.
please give them back to us. They are just the most unbelievable children you'd ever meet.
Meanwhile, police in Chandler, Arizona encouraged Fremont County investigators to take a second look at Tammy Daybell's death.
And so that was the reason for obtaining the court order to exhume the body and have an autopsy performed.
They exhumed her body recently. We're still waiting for those autopsy results. Now, Arizona police are taking a closer look at the death of Lori's late husband. Last summer, Lori's brother Alex Cox shot and killed Charles Vallow. Authorities say Charles was picking up JJ for school when that shooting took place. Here's a 911 recording from that day.
I got in a fight with my brother-in-law and I shot him in self-defense.
And is he hurt or is he alive? Or?
Yeah, there's blood. He's not moving.
Cox told police he shot Charles in self-defense during an argument. Cox claimed Charles came at him with a bat. And just a few months later, Cox also died. The cause of his death is unknown.
When her brother shot and killed her ex-husband, there were several people present. To my knowledge, those people are all missing or dead. And the two children being two of those who are missing. So yes, we have some concerns.
So court records show Charles filed for divorce 5 months before he was shot and killed. He claimed Lori was mentally unstable. He said she referred to herself as God. Charles claimed she believed she was assigned to carry out the work of Jesus before a second coming. He told the court she threatened to kill him if he got in her way. Now, authorities say Lori moved with the children to Rexburg following the death of Charles, and it was about that time the grandparents reported they stopped hearing from the family.
After Charles was murdered, July 11th, we've had 3 contacts with JJ. 3 very short FaceTimes, that last one being the shortest.
The last call was somewhat of the most, it was the awkward call because it was a call like somebody was watching him and directing him.
Now, it was from Rexburg police. They say Lori met her current husband, Chad Daybell. Investigators say he shares Lori's thoughts about doomsday. The two married last fall. Now, police performed a welfare check in November looking for the children, and they say one day later, the couple skipped town. And just last week, they were spotted in Hawaii.
Listen, just tell people what's happening. There's people around the country praying for your children, praying for you guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
That's great. That's great that they're praying for you, praying for your kids. What? You have nothing to say? Did you do something to your children? Are your children still alive?
Police say there's no evidence.
Now, right now, police say there is no evidence the children were in Hawaii with their mother, and Lori ignored law enforcement requests to prove her kids were alive, as we know this morning. And again, a judge will decide what happens next. As of right now, no charges have been filed against Lori or her new husband, Chad Daybell. And I know this is a lot to take in. There's a lot of different avenues to this story, so we have laid it out on KREM.com. There you can read more about the couple's spiritual beliefs and the suspicious deaths of both their partners. You can also find that on the KREM 2 mobile app.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jen. 5:37 now, and a former paraeducator that is, at University High School in Spokane Valley has been fired after accusations that she took drugs with her students. Now, we are not naming the former paraeducator since no arrests have been made. The paraeducator allegedly told a counselor that she had been getting Xanax, cocaine, and marijuana from students and using drugs with them. Investigators also learned that the paraeducator had been communicating with one of her students via Snapchat. A search warrant has been issued for cell phones belonging to both the paraeducator and the student. Now, according to the Washington State Department of Education and BNSF Railway, safety issues have briefly halted work on Spokane's north-south freeway. A work stoppage was ordered after back-to-back safety-related incidents by a Washington State DOT contractor weren't properly reported. Now, BNSF hopes to have work restarted next week once better safety protocols are set. And the Spokane City Superior Court is denying the motion to recuse the judge in the Freeman High School shooting case. This means Judge Michael Price will remain on the case. The defense team has submitted the motion back in November, saying he wasn't impartial and was in favor of the Freeman community. The court denied those claims. And that's your Morning Rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media.
Well, doctors say there are a handful of coronavirus cases in the U.S., and they want to keep it that way. Authorities are now monitoring airports and other ways the virus can spread, like on luggage or even through the mail. We had our Verify team look into it.
It is difficult to think of cramped airlines or busy airports and train stations without thinking about spreading germs. We had a lot of folks asking us about the new coronavirus, specifically if the virus can spread from surfaces. For example, can the virus live on a package that's delivered to my house from China? Here's Dr. Nancy Messonnier, the director of the CDC's National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Disease.
In general, because of the poor survivability of these coronaviruses on surfaces, that's sort of in the range of hours, there is likely a very, very, very low, if any, risk of spread from products or packaging that is shipped over a period of days or weeks at ambient temperatures.
The key here, coronaviruses like this one don't survive long outside the body, so the risk of catching it by touching a package that's been shipped is low. The CDC said they have no evidence the virus has spread from imported goods. But what about surfaces in general, like the handrails, doorknobs, even the luggage people are touching while traveling? Can I get the virus from touching those? Well, it is incredibly unlikely. Even if I sneezed into my hands and touched a doorknob, which you immediately touched after me, you wouldn't automatically get sick. The germs still have to get inside your body somehow. And remember, the virus can't survive for very long outside the body. Bottom line, it is highly unlikely you'll get the new virus from a surface or object. But in crowded areas, it's not hard to pass germs from person to person. That's how a lot of viruses spread, like the flu. Now, that doesn't mean you should sanitize your clothes or luggage. It simply means you need to avoid touching your face and wash your hands as often as possible. Good advice for this time of the year anyway. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
All right, Jason, thank you so much. 5:41 now. Let's take a live look outside. I could certainly hear the wind howling in the trees on my way into work today. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick is in the house today talking about what we can expect this morning and for your weekend.